Hi guys, it's Alex McCann here from Manchester-based social media company Altrincham HQ, and we're here today with Joss Mills. Welcome, Joss.
Hello everybody.
So a little bit of context for this discussion. So Josh manages the social media in-house for the Con Club in Altrincham, which obviously being Altrincham HQ you'll all know, but also 4 other brands in the same group. So Lime Bar, Food and Argy, Holy Dough and the George Charles. So for many of us that follow us on either Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc., you know that one of the things we do is manage outsourced social media for businesses. So what we're actually going to be talking to Joss about today is the other side of social media management, actually social media management in-house for a brand. So that's kind of the intro, but I want you to sort of introduce yourself as well, and tell us what your job title is, first of all, and what you briefly do for the business. We'll explore this in depth later and how long you've been doing it for.
Okay, so my actual job title is social media and marketing for mainly for the Con Club, if we talk about that mostly today, and a couple of other food and drink outlets. Do I think I stick to my job title? Not always. I get involved in an awful lot of operational side of things as well, but yeah, I've been doing that for just over 2 years for my current bosses, and it's great, keeps me very busy, and it's fab. I love it. I'm very lucky I enjoy my job.
So you just said you've been there for 2 years. How did you get involved in social media in the first place then?
So I've been in the hospitality industry for, it's just coming up to 13 years now. Started at the very bottom, working on the door, hosting, sitting people down at tables, and I fell in love with the industry really. It's quite hard not to. So I spent 13 years kind of working in various sectors. I was predominantly in the operations side of it, then moved on to business development, which I did for the last 5 or 6 years. But whilst I was kind of working on the business development side, I always felt like I wasn't being creative enough. I was always kind of watching what the marketing and the social media were doing. We were kind of working together, but I always envied them a little bit because I felt like they got to produce this amazing creative kind of voice for all the brands that we were looking after, and I was looking after the business to business side of things. So I was talking a lot more to try and get the sales in from that side, and I wasn't really having any creative output there. And hence me kind of moving into this role with the guys that I currently work for.
Yeah, so we've sort of mentioned this when we've had chats before, but you did quite years ago, obviously before all your hospitality and all that kind of stuff, you did different roles. I remember you mentioning once you used to tour with rock and roll bands.
Rock and roll bands, a couple of rock and roll, some were rock and roll. I had a wonderful 2 years traveling the world, working in tour catering. So again, nothing to do with kind of the kind of communication side of things. I was predominantly looking after dressing room riders, artist catering, and sometimes crew catering as well. It was amazing. It was great. Could I do it now? No. I don't think I'd have the energy. I don't think I could drink that much anymore either. But it was a great experience, and I wouldn't take it back for the world. It was fantastic. But I think now I'm a little bit older, quite happy, quite settled here.
Yeah, I think I used to work in rock and roll as well. I used to be a music journalist, and I think it's definitely an
you know what it's like.
You can do it when you're young,
yeah.
And you get more sensible as you get older.
Yeah.
So you obviously did this role, and you said you talked then about the sort of envy from being in business development and wanting to have this creative side. You said you studied like the people that were doing the marketing role, but did you actually study marketing, get training, obsess on studying marketing before jumping into the role?
Do you know what, Alex? I've got to be honest with you. No, I didn't. I don't think you have to nowadays. By all means, yes, I think that you need to have a vested interest and you have to have a passion for it, because then it's not so much studying, it's the interest in it kind of means that you get involved and you kind of watch the way people work and you see what works, you see what doesn't work. The company I was with before this, the business that we had like, in the end, I think it was 11 brands that we were looking after. And some worked, some didn't, but we had one marketing manager and one social media manager that looked after all those brands. And it was just kind of seeing how they worked, watching how their day-to-day kind of diary worked out, just watching them and seeing the content they were putting out. If you kind of study that and you watch what people are doing and you kind of, you know, take a vested interest in it, I think that you can still be successful. And I think that as long as you've got a bit of a creative mind and you know who you want to talk to and you know what it is you're talking about, then I don't think you need a qualification anymore. I really don't think it's that important.
Yeah, I agree. I sort of, obviously, my background was studying marketing way back in the day because I'm an oldie, but studying marketing at Salford Uni and did all that. But a lot of the social media skills I learned in the job as like music journalism didn't exist. No, not when I was at uni. But yeah, I learned on the job studying like when MySpace came out in the music industry and then onto Facebook. And yeah, a lot you can pick up. But I think, as you said, then you've got to have that creativity side to you. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't have that side to them, I guess.
And the kind of, you know, the technical side of things as well. There's things that I kind of miss all the time that I'll look back on and I'll think, God, I didn't think about that I could probably have done with some help. You know, like you do that, so I could probably come to you and say, Alex, like, give me a hand, because I'm not too sure if this is the way I should be going about this or if this is the format, because I'm literally learning all the time. But I think, yeah, it's the content and the creativity comes from up there, and then the technical side, the skills you can learn from people like yourselves, yeah. Really.
Fab. So one thing that passion for me, I really, really hate this, but when I see sort of social media gurus, or I call them charlatans, say you can manage social media in like 10 or 20 minutes a day. So for any beginners that are watching this, you can't, can you?
I wish.
Yeah, I wish as well. I'd have more time to do my own stuff. But it's like, for anyone who's watching this, because I think I come across this all the time when I'm a trainer, and people, imagine a lot of people watching this are going to be in hospitality, retail, and so on. For any beginners watching this, how much time do you spend a day on social media marketing? And talk us through a day in the life of Joss.
Okay, so firstly, I spend a lot of time. If you ask anyone, I am on my phone constantly. So my laptop's there. My laptop kind of helps with graphics and with kind of scheduling posts and things like that. But I am on my phone the whole time I am in work, because things are changing all the time, especially at the moment, given what's going on in the world. You have to constantly be with it, be updated, be checking social channels to make sure what's happening, not only locally, not only nationally, but internationally now. So a huge chunk of my working day will be spent on social media. I tend to schedule a little bit, but not so much. As for my working day, I couldn't tell you a typical working day, because it's so fast-paced. Hospitality is a tough one, like I said, at the minute especially, and then having quite a few brands to look after, my time will change depending on who I'm looking after on what day, what the weather's like, all sorts of things. The number of things that can affect your business, that mean that you have to constantly be on the go and constantly thinking, I can't forget about that. You know, I need to make sure things are going out on the right timing. I need to make sure that the current, it can literally be, every day is different for me. There's never any kind of structure. It's great, but it's not.
Yeah. And for you, obviously, I said we people outsource social media to us, and sort of the minimum part we start is like 4 hours a week, and that's I think that's fairly low, half an hour a day. So how much time a day, if you sort of had to guess or estimate how much time you spend actually on social media, how much would it actually be?
On social media for work?
For work, yes.
Well, it's terrible, but you know, you get your iPhone report of how long you've been on the screen. Normally, I would say that's between 8 and 9 hours a day. I would say probably 6 or 7 of that would be work. I would say maybe an hour or so is me kind of checking everything for myself and making sure, you know, that my own little channel's getting looked after for me.
No, literally, yeah, your social is like literally 80-90% work-related social, only 10% yourself. So it's a huge time investment. And I would say that for any business that's watching this, it's thinking, we need to make more of social, because a lot of businesses, as you said, might hand it to a bar staff, for instance. That's a classic mistake, I think.
I think if you haven't got someone in-house that is naturally focused, you know, is given the job role and is kind of just there to do that, I don't think that it will necessarily get nurtured and looked after and executed in the right way, consistently, with the right voice, with the right content. Because, you know, before I got here, it was being looked after by some great people that worked here, but it's the time, Alex, it's the time to do it, and it's making sure it's done at the right time, and the picture's clear and it's enticing, and what you're saying, all the information's there. And if you can imagine a bartender or a waitress or the managers, you know, kind of having that pressure on the shoulders, really, because it's quite a lot of responsibility. I don't think people realise that. It's a lot to ask someone.
Yeah, I think if you think I'm sat here interviewing you, and there's a reason for that, because you think of all the bars, restaurants, cafes, food business in Altrincham, I've chosen to chat to you because of what you do is a good job, and you do it well, and lots of people don't. So you mentioned it then in the last answer. Where do you sit on that whole, and I know times differ, particularly now when we're doing this interview, but where do you sit on the scheduled updates versus the live social media updates? What percentage is scheduled on yours?
So I think scheduled posts are great. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think they should be the skeleton of your diary every week. So I think you sit there and you kind of think, right, say there's a general message going out every day that I kind of want someone to know what time you open, so they know I'm open, or, you know, they know what day of the week it is. It's leading up to the weekend. Are you looking forward to it? Have you made your booking yet? So a very general, like, consensus, a post that kind of is kind, you know, just a bit of a suggestion. And then I think that you build around that with your live updates. I think live updates are important just to show that there's a person behind it, that it's not just a computer. Because don't get me wrong, I have had instances where I have scheduled posts to go out and something's happened, like with Lyme, for example, a football game's been postponed or anything like that, and I've forgotten about that post, or I've kind of been too busy and I've not had time to get to that scheduled post, and it goes out, and you can guarantee there's loads of people, especially on Twitter, this happens more on Twitter warriors jump straight on it and like, oh, you forgot to delete that post, didn't you? Know, that kind of thing. And I'm a perfectionist, so I'm kind of like, damn it, I take it to heart, and I'm like gutted when I've done something like that. So I think, do use your scheduled post, you know, do schedule some social media, but kind of keep your live updates for, you know, wow, it's a sunny day, oh my God, it's beautiful outside, look how busy the town centre is, you know, the kind of more personable tweets that you can make.
I think getting that balance right between scheduled and live is important. I schedule stuff on my account, schedule stuff on clients' accounts, but then you leave the gaps when you know something's going to happen, like a Boris announcement or
like
something
today.
like today, where it's a bit hectic. So one of the things that you've got, obviously you've got all the different brands, but I think the benefit of what you've got doing with Views is the brands that you work with are naturally aesthetically pleasing, from the locations they're based in, the food that you serve, and so on. But I mean, there's still aesthetically pleasing in real life, and there's aesthetically pleasing on social, which has got really high standards. So how much time do you actually spend on content production in terms of taking photos, taking videos?
Loads. I spend loads. I have my camera reel on my phone is currently at 13,000 pictures, and you can guarantee 2% of those are my personal photos.
Yeah.
The rest of them are food, drink, doorway entrances, roof terraces, pints, you know, sushi, everything on my phone is dedicated visually to work, and it is really important. And again, it's quite high pressured, because you do want to kind of, you know, stand out. You've got to you've got to be unique. What you're selling, what you're asking people to come and spend their hard-earned money on, has to be worthy. So I think it's really important, and I do think that it's getting a little bit harder, because I think everyone's up in the game. Everything looks fantastic. To stand out in a feed, especially on Instagram, where it's everything looks fantastic. Everyone can edit a picture nowadays. You scroll through really quickly. You pass, it's gone. You've forgotten that post because you're on to the next one. So it's incredibly important to kind of make sure that your feed looks aesthetically pleasing to start with, and then people are interested in what they're looking at. It's interesting to kind of see.
Yeah, I think you're right there. The standards have really upped. I remember when I first started 10 years ago, I'm not saying you could get away with a rubbish photo then, but you could kind of get away with a rubbish photo.
You should see my photos on my personal Instagram from like 7 years ago. They're hilarious. Can't even see people's faces properly. They're blurry.
But yeah, I mean, everything's massively improved. So I think in the old days, you used to have like only the high-end restaurants that had good quality food photos. Now you're getting the Greasy Spoon Cafe that has a really good photo.
With the iPhone, the pictures you take with your iPhones nowadays, they're amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that I always sense that you get at the Con Club particularly is that you have a really supportive team in terms of management, staff help you out. There's no one putting barriers up in the way. I mean, does it help that you have that team behind you?
Yeah, they're fab. They're really, really good. They know what I'm like. So like I said, I'm quite impatient, and I'm quite a perfectionist with certain things, and I like things being done my way, and this is all like, to my detriment, because then when I ask for help, sometimes I'm like, come on, we need to do it now, we need to do it. And everyone's like, oh God, like, leave us alone. But I have got the most wonderful team, and they're really good as well, because they're all really interested in social media as well. So sometimes if I've missed something, or if I've not noticed that something's popping up local, or someone's posted a really nice post and it looks fab and it's really cool, and it's really interesting and it mirrors kind of what we're doing but somewhere else, they're always really quick to say, oh wow, have you seen this? Like, oh, this is great. And it's good that you've got that, they're also interested in it, and they're always watching our socials as well. They're sharing and they're commenting, and it's nice because it just makes it reach that little bit further organically, rather than kind of pay, when you're constantly paying for posts to try and get them to people. So much easier if you have a bit of a network that you can kind of say, come on guys, give us a bit of a boost with that post, will you?
Yeah, and has that been there since day one, or has it kind of happened over time?
Happened over time. I think now, because we're confident in what we do, and because everyone is so involved in what we do, everyone knows what the scope is. So I think they feel confident enough to share and to talk about it and kind of do that. But it's definitely come with time. I think it comes when you feel secure in your brand.
Yeah. No, that's really good, because I think that when we do it and we do the outsource, the success of the campaign is definitely based on the buy-in of the staff. It's really frustrating when we deal with a client, say the owner or the manager, and they sort of don't explain to the staff that social's really important, and then you're asking for photos and you don't get them, and it's really annoying.
Oh, hi, do you know what that offer is? And the staff are like, what? What's he talking about? And you're thinking, no, failed at the hurdle.
So yeah, definitely that whole sort of joint up thinking. So in terms of your brand's voice, you said you've been there for 2 years. Mm-hmm. What freedom do you have in controlling that brand's voice? And is that entirely down to you, or do you get guidelines from above?
I am very lucky. I would say I've got complete freedom. I think that's because I have known my bosses for quite some time. So I think they know I'm really conscientious anyway, especially nowadays with the reach of social media. You can speak to the other side of the world, and also given what's been going on currently with regards to coronavirus, Black Lives Matter, there's been so many kind of social situations where you have to be really, really careful, and my bosses are amazing. They just kind of say whatever you think, but they know that's because I am incredibly careful of how I speak to people, and I'm also really conscientious of how our brands appear, and I think that they know I would always consult them. I'd always ask their opinion, and I do on loads of occasions. I will say to them, what do you think? And 9 times out of 10 they will go, yeah, cool, go with it. If you think that's right, go for it. And very, very rarely they'll say, let's have a chat, let's ask everyone, let's ask the team. But other than that, I'm really lucky. And I think as well, the businesses that have kind of been born in the last 6 months, Unagi and Holy Dough, because I've literally been there at the point of kind of realization, we're going to do this, let's do it. What do we want to look like? What do we want to sound like? They've kind of just handed it to me and gone, go on then and tell everyone.
No, it's really interesting, because I think that's the thing about social media is you do have to know the brand inside out. You have to know the boys. You have to know what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, because it's so easier. I think we're doing this interview in 2020. Everyone's so ready to be offended. That's
it's like a minefield.
Yeah, you say something that would have appeared normal, and you have to double check. Like you said, you have to go to sort of say, what do you think of this? Because you have to have that sense check with someone sometimes to sort of think,
yeah,
I don't think it's risky, but does anyone else think it's risky?
I think at the minute, currently, I think that's one of the hardest parts of the job. Because it's once it's out there on social media, regardless of whether you post it and a minute later you think, uh-oh, I'm going to take that down. Within that minute, you don't know how many hundred people, how many thousands of people have seen that post, screenshotted it, and thought, I'm going to use that, and I'm going to spread that message, and you can be left there thinking, oh my God, what's going to be like the comeuppance of this. So it's really important.
Definitely. I mean, one thing that you're good at as well as the obviously brand voice is what I call social media engagement. Like literally the idea of actually going out and talking to people and building relationships with people. And I know so many local businesses are totally naff at that. They just broadcast and don't do anything else. So is engagement something you find natural as a human being, as a person, or is it something you've learned over the years on social?
Yeah, can't shut me up. No. It's really important because it's genuine. You kind of, someone takes the time out of their day to respond to you, to post that looks great, or post a heart, or kind of try and interact with you. They're taking time out of their day to do that. Now, don't get me wrong, I am absolutely up the wall all day, every day. But if I can respond to people, even if it's just a like, a heart back at them, a thank you, anything, it's really important because it shows a bit of integrity behind your brand, that you're actually there, that there's someone there, that you're not just kind of say, buy this, drink this drink, eat this food, come and spend money with us. It kind of it's give and take. It's like, oh, great, you enjoyed that, thank you. It's a way of, I'm constantly always about saying thank you, that's great. Like, just kind of a bit of encouragement as well for people to just know that we do care. And we are grateful, for everyone that comes through the doors, for everyone that goes for a takeaway, for everyone that buys a donut. We're really grateful, and it's just, if I'm employed to do that, that's part of the job. Yeah,
definitely. I think, I think it's nice. Obviously, I'm naturally, as part of what I do, I go out, I eat somewhere, I tweet about it, or post on Instagram about it.
You're the only person I know that is more interactive than me.
Oh, I am kind of like Mr. Chatty on social. It's nice to be nice. It's I think I've done it in the past where I've gone and spent with a local business and you've tweeted or posted and they haven't even acknowledged it, and it gets to the point where it does have a real life knock-on effect where you go, if they don't even bother saying thank you, I'm not going to go back and spend money with them.
You don't bother again.
So that leads us as well, the engagement side of things, and it's something I love. I'm Mr. Twitter. Literally, in your sector particularly, I think in both hospitality, I think retail, businesses find it really hard to get on board with Twitter. And why do you think that is? Why does it work for you? And how if you had to explain to someone who doesn't use Twitter, how is it different compared to Instagram and Facebook?
So I love Twitter. We had we had some people actually come in and like kind of look into our social reports for us, to kind of give a bit of give me a little bit of assistance and support, and kind of say, look, this is where you're falling short. And they couldn't understand why I bothered wasting my time on Twitter. And I was like, that's not a waste of time to me, because my main thing with Twitter is how I speak to other businesses. That's how I know what's going on. I find locally, I can have a look at what's going on with the council. I can speak to you. You're constantly updating, letting everyone know what's going on in like the region. And it's also another way to just say, like, hey guys, are you all right? How are you doing? We've got Twitter groups with all the local businesses. That's how we all speak to each other. And I think Twitter's good, because I personally think when you go on Instagram, like I said, you are not interested in what is written underneath that picture. You're really not. You're looking at the picture and you're going up and you're going, oh, you're going across the top and you're looking at the stories. You're not really listening to what's being said. And I think Facebook, I don't know, I think Facebook kind of a mix of both, but I think Twitter is more information led. And I think as well, it's I don't know, I just find it really interesting. I've always liked Twitter, and it really annoys me when people don't use it, because I think it's great. And it, you know, it still travels well. You might not have loads of interaction with it, but it's genuine interaction. To me, Instagram's fab, right? But I think that it's a little bit superficial now. I think with Twitter, it's genuine interaction with people. It's about conversation. I think that Instagram, as much as I love it, don't get me wrong, I'm on it all the time, I don't think it's necessarily sometimes the best for business speak to each other in local areas.
Yeah, I think Twitter's really, really massively, I mean, I'm biased because it's the first platform I've like really, really loved as a platform, but I think it's really massively underrated. One, in hospitality, like your business. If you chat to a local solicitors, suddenly you can have 30 solicitors turn up at yours, or if it's a retailer, they could have like 30 people buying a present from there for Secret Santa or something like that, and it's really, really underrated. And yeah, everyone in Altrincham who's listening to this, all Manchester, should go and join Twitter and start actually using it as much as you do the other platforms.
I agree.
So we touched on this before briefly when we talked about people looking to be offended on social media, and every business has complaints. So I know in real life, I deal with them sometimes. You can have 999 happy customers. Most of them won't say that they're happy customers on social media. A handful will. And then you'll have the one person who literally sends 20 tweets, probably at about 11:30 at night after a few special brews, and complains. How do you deal with those?
You always get one. So how do I deal with them? Well, I always go to the root, to the source. I always contact them privately first of all. I just say, look, tell me what's up. What's the problem? What happened? The customer's always right. You know, it's that thing in hospitality. You've all, you know, in all sorts of sectors. You just have sometimes got to just say, I'm really sorry, what can we do for you? It's backfired to me. I don't know whether you remember, ages ago on Twitter, someone complained about our beer, because we brew our own beer on site here at the Con Club. And someone got in touch on Twitter, Beer Warrior, and says, there's something wrong with your beer, blah, 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 and you know, complains about it. So I'm like, got straight in touch with him privately, really sorry, next time you're in, pint on me. He then publicly tweets a load more, like, well, I won't swear, crap about us. Starts saying all these really nasty things. So I thought, right, okay. Publicly, I tweeted him and I just said, don't bother coming in for that free pint I've just offered you. I think you get in touch with the customer, you try and do your best, and then at the point of trying to do your best and maybe getting rebutted, you just kind of say, do you know what, you win some, you lose some. It's the same with TripAdvisor, it's the same with various platforms. You're always going to get one. Try not to take it too hard too much. I do for a couple of days and a simmer, but kind of try and move on forward with it. You know, I think you can try and be the best of the best of the best and get 110% in everything, and I think you're not going to be able to please everyone. You're really not. If those 999 people think what you're doing is great, then you're doing all right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my first point when we get a complaint from a customer, and occasionally I've had the odd troll on my case, but literally I look at their tweets, because generally it is Twitter the complaint.
Yeah.
And see what the general intent is. If the serial complainers, they get ignored most of the time. If they're actually genuine, it's like 99% positive, and that one complaint is about you deal with it.
Yeah.
Definitely. So last 3 or 4 questions. Time management of social. Obviously, I know you mainly from obviously the Con Club as the main brand, and then you had Food and Argy and the Holy Dough launch this year.
Yeah.
Did your time increase on social media after working this, or did you have to like split the time up that you were normally doing into like several chunks?
It's just increased. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think at the minute I'm doing okay. I think that lockdown has helped. I think that when we open to the public again, I think I'm going to have to reevaluate how I split my time. Like we said before, social media is such a machine. At the minute I'm working more, but you know, I'm also looking at maybe trying to get a bit of help now, and a bit of assistance on it, because as things grow, we've got 2 brands, that one that's completely took off. Unagi is flying at the minute, and they kind of weren't there just before lockdown. They were there, but one wasn't there at all, sorry, and one was just kind of starting up. It was the baby. So I've got 2 extra brands now that I've got to talk about, and one of those brands has got 3 sites. So it's quite an increase in such a short space of time, and I'm going to have to start looking for assistance now, because otherwise I would be permanently 24/7 on social media.
Yeah. So that's the thing again. We keep coming back to that thing: resources. It isn't like, okay, if you're a business, to just go, right, you've got a spare 20 minutes there, you can do that. It's got to be like hours.
As well, let's remember, the social media doesn't work between the hours of 9 till 5. Yeah. Social media is on 24/7. So if someone's asking you a question at 9:45 at night about what time last orders is somewhere, you know, I can't ignore that. I'm kind of there like, you know, just to let you, because I've got this conscientious mind that I'm kind of thinking like, oh no, it's a customer, and you know, I kind of want to get back to them. So I'd love like social media to be 9 till 5. That would really work well for me, but it's just not anymore.
No, so that again's and that nicely leads us on to this next question. Your personal relationship with social media, and I know you work in it obviously, but are you still active on social media on a personal level, or do you just kind of like go, no, as soon as you never switch off, as you said, but like, are you one of these people that is active on your personal social, or you just avoid it when you're not working?
Oh God, I used to absolutely love like being on social media all the time, personally, to check on my friends, to check on family that I don't necessarily see all the time. That has reduced significantly in the last 2 years. I just don't want to look at it all the time. I really don't. And like I said, I get the report on my iPhone saying, you know, you've been on your phone 8 hours today, you've been on screen time 8 hours, and I just kind of think, oh God, like I really need to get off this and read a book or go for a walk. Yeah. And get like my mind flowing again, and not just be like, you know, tunnel vision down the screen constantly.
So is it stressful then? Because I mean, I do the same. Like if I go on a run, my phone's strapped to my arm, so I can't look at my phone.
With me. It's with me. Yeah, and it's kind of that thing when it gets a little bit later at night, I just make sure that it's there, but I'm kind of like every so often check notifications, just make sure there's nothing like huge going on that I'm missing out on, or something huge going on that means, you know, we need to be careful here, or something like that. Yeah, but it's always there. Don't get me wrong, all my friends, my family, everyone says to me, will you get off your phone and talk to me? And I'm kind of like, yeah, just 1 minute.
So you fub people then when you're on a night out, you're sort of looking at you for another time.
You know what I'm doing as well? Taking pictures of things that I see that I like, and I'm like, oh, that's good. I'll take a picture, you know, kind of like, oh, wow, look at this drink. This is an amazing drink. Like, I mean, I'll send that to the guys at Lime or the Con Club. We can do that there, you know, like that kind of thing. It's always there at the back of my mind.
I've done that on holiday when I've just gone on holiday and done exactly the same, sort of seen something and said, you need to check this out. This is great. So last two questions. You said you're spending lots of time on social. Every business watching this wants to know this. What is the ROI of social, and is there an ROI, return on investment?
You will know, unless you are putting offers on, whereby you are asking for some form of return with regards to when you're booking, you need to quote this. We're doing 2-for-1s on this cocktail, because then you can kind of measure it. You can look at your reports online. You can check your, you know, how far your posts are reaching. You can check on if you're doing paid socials, how many new followers are coming back from it, X, Y, Z, things like that that you can get. But with regards to sales, my thing is, as long as the sales are always like this and never like this, we're getting a return on investment. Because and I also know, just from interaction, I can tell, you know, if I post about something and I see it going off the scale straight away, I know we're going to be busy for that, because the interaction on it is already, you know, crazy. And I just think this is what people want. And I think that as you know, whether you're just starting your brand or you're rebranding or anything like that, as you kind of learn more about your business and what it is that you want to get across to people, and you see that interaction, that's how you know something's working, and you know to do more of that. And kind of, you know, go down that route, go down that channel, and kind of go with the flow, because it's working for you. And you know, if anything ever does kind of bomb, or kind of end up being an absolute like crappy idea, you just take it on the chin, and you just, you know, didn't sell very well, didn't do well, but on to another day.
No, I think you're right. I think when it's weird, people on social media, like if, say, for instance, when people have outsourced to us, or I hear it from other people who manage social media as well.
Yeah.
When you sort of outsourcing your social media, the owner of the business almost expects everyone to walk in the business and say, I just saw you on Twitter, I just saw you on Facebook or Instagram. And it doesn't happen, because they never did the same with TV, radio, or newspapers. They never walked in and said, I just saw you in the Sale and Altrincham Messenger, because people never did it unless they said they've got the voucher or the offer or the so on. So a lot of it's common sense for a business owner to sort of go, are we getting busier? Are we going quieter? Is it remaining the same sometimes, even in difficult times? I
think as well, Alex, I think the whole point of having me or you is that you're the voice. So you're just that little constant reminder in the background saying, we're here, we're open, we're serving, food's great, you know, like that kind of thing. It's just like you need that little thing in the background, you know, just kind of saying like, oh God, yeah, we've not been there in a while. And whilst they're not necessarily coming in and saying, I love that picture, can I have, it does happen, but you know, someone will be like, I saw this picture on Instagram, can I have that, whatever that is? Unless that kind of happens, no, you're not going to know. But you know, you can tell nowadays by the little numbers on your reports that are telling you, like, you know, 5,000 people saw this. You know, that matters. That means that 5,000 sets of eyes have looked at your Sunday roast and thought, God, next time on Sunday roast, I might go there. You know,
it's a shame. It's that constant reminder, and I think the businesses are at the front of people's minds. Like particularly even now when we're coming out of lockdown, you almost, like I said before, like the Con Club, July the 4th, we're there. It's like kind of that sort of mentality, because I always see you. Whereas the bars that aren't on social, the restaurants that aren't on social, they're kind of at the back of your mind, and you don't really think about them in the same way. No. So last question for anyone who's watching this, 3 top social media tips.
So I would always say have fun. I think it's important to have personality in your posts, whether it's the picture that's a bit fun, or whether it's the way you're saying something. Put your personality into it. That's what matters. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes you makes people remember you. I would say I always personally, in my social posts, if they're a visual thing, if it's going onto Facebook or Instagram, try and have like a member of your team in the photo, kind of holding the drink with a smile on the face, because it makes it personable. It makes people kind of think, a smile on a face makes you think, oh, like, look at them enjoying the drink. I think I might go and enjoy that drink. So I always like to have a bit of interaction in the photo as well. And lastly, God, what would I say? I would say, don't take everything to heart, because on social media you can get really kind of bogged down. If you don't think that you are kind of living up to the expectations, if your pictures don't look as great as so and so's, don't kind of take that to heart. As long as you're doing what you love and you love what you sell, and you think that your brand is great, that will come across. Might not be the best picture, but it might be a picture that means something to you. And when you talk about it, I don't know, it's be genuine, like, have integrity about your brand and about what you're doing in your own business, because it comes across. It's natural. Do you know what I mean? I don't like things that are kind of heartless. To me, you've got to believe in what you do. You've got to believe in what you're talking about, and you've got to make it genuine.
Yeah, I've sort of said the same on Instagram, where I sort of say, I'd rather have a photo with me with slightly messy hair than just sort of a really overly polished, stylized photo, because it doesn't show the person.
Come on.
So you just want, some of my photos on Instagram are just me with messy hair after a run or something, and they work. They're some of my most popular posts.
Yeah.
So thanks for your time, Joss. Obviously you've got all the different brands. Where can people follow you on social? Just remind us of all the sort of 4 or 5 brands you've got.
So we have got Con Club Restaurant, which is Altrincham based. We are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and we've got our website as well. We have Lime Bar in Salford Keys. That's actually the longest standing brand. That's been going 19 years this year, which I think is amazing for a bar and restaurant. You don't hear of that nowadays. They're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and website. And then we've got Food Unagi Street Food, which is our latest brand. That's currently on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find us at Food Unagi. We've got the George Charles in West Didsbury. I'm not even hardly spoke about that, but an amazing little place in West Didsbury. Again, on all platforms, you can find us George Charles. And then we've got Holy Dough, our new baby, which is fresh baked donuts and cookies, which has been great. And you can, we're only on Instagram at the minute because it's literally a startup. So we're only baking Thursday to Sunday. And with us coming out of lockdown, we're not quite sure where we're going to be situated yet. And I don't want to be sending too many mixed signals out just yet. So you can find Holy Dough is on Instagram at the moment, but just there.
So lots and lots of food and drink as we come out of lockdown. Fantastic. So yeah, again, thanks for your time, and we will see you in real life very, very soon.
I know, I can't wait. Hallelujah.
Yeah, elbow. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.